First of all, it's great to see all of you here, and I know you have come all the way despite your busy schedule. And I'm so honored and grateful for the opportunity to share my thoughts with such a distinguished audience. Today, I'd like to use my story to talk about the unresolved issues around women's rights. I work as an attorney at the Disability Rights Law Center. And it's a small law firm, and a lot of people think of it as an NGO because what we do is a bit unusual. The reason it's unusual is because I only represent people who are underrepresented in society, like people with disabilities, people who are very young, very old, or very poor. And I represent them pro bono. I work with victims of crime in a very vulnerable situation where there is no one else to advocate for them. So I can't just support cases because eventually you have to change an unjust law or policy if you don't want it to happen again. So I'm a public interest attorney who supports cases pro bono, but my main focus is on improving institutions. So many people wonder why I do this because I don't get sponsored, I'm not funded by the state. I do pro bono cases, and a lot of people think I do this because I'm disabled, but that's not it. I do this because I believe in the fact that observing and raising a voice helps changing the world. And the reason why I do this is I believe this is linked to what we do to protect women and girls. So I'm going to talk about 3 observation points for all women and girls. First, it's about observing what you think is a thing of the past to see if it really is. I am visually impaired. I see the world with only one eye, and I've lived my whole life with only one eye because I lost it in a medical accident at birth. But it's hard to say it was just a medical accident because if you look closely, you can see where women and girls were at the time. And I was the first child, and my mom had a difficult delivery when she found out long after the fact that her water had broken. My dad wasn't at the hospital at the time, and her only carer was my mom's mother-in-law, my grandma. After seeing her almost unconscious in the delivery room, the doctor told my grandma that there was no way she was going to have a natural birth, that she should have a cesarean section, but my grandma was against it. Her reasoning was that I was a girl, and if I was born surgically, with the medical science of the time, my mom could only have a maximum of 2 children, and they couldn't both be girls. So my grandma refused to a cesarean section, saying a baby doesn't need to survive. When my mom eventually lost consciousness, the doctor tried to pull me out non-surgically, first with medical forceps. When that didn't work out, finally with a hook to pull me out of her body. I lost one of my eyes in the process. No one ever told my mom what happened to me that day, just saying it was a miracle I was born alive. And 13 years later, a nurse in that surgery room became a colleague of my mom, and the secret was revealed. But 13 years have passed, and there was no legal means we could use, and I felt really frustrated. And I wanted to help people who were frustrated, and I really wanted to help them out occupationally. So I became an attorney. So I think that really changed my life, but I still don't understand my grandma's choice. She is also a woman, but but without a moment's hesitation, she didn't agree to a surgery just because I was a daughter. And some would say, well, it was 4 years ago, and the society actually preferred a boy over a girl, so that could have been a reason. And now the times have changed, and it wouldn't happen. Would it be really the case? I've recently, I meet a lot of people, and I've recently represented a woman who was sexually assaulted and who was born with a severe intellectual disability. So I went to the woman's home and I met her mom, and her mom said she's going to book surgery for her daughter. And I asked her what kind of surgery her daughter was having, and she told me that her daughter, the victim, was booked in for permanent sterilization, which involves cutting her fallopian tubes so that she can't get pregnant in the future. Her only concern was that her daughter couldn't even manage her periods properly anyway, so she was wondering if her daughter should have hysterectomy. I was freaking out, but I tried to be calm and asked, does your daughter understand what you are doing? Did she agree? And the answer was, she doesn't understand anyway. It's a surgery that parents do for their children who will suffer from unwanted pregnancies. When I heard that, I said, if your daughter hasn't given her consent and you're going on with this surgery, I'll have no choice but to report to you to the police. Is it all right with you? This is not from 4 years ago. This is happening today. It's not from the past. It's not from a different country. It's not from a different culture. It's not just an exception. As you can see, it's from the same country, same era, but for women with disabilities, for girls, for vulnerable people, these things do happen even now. So I observe these cases and then I ask questions. Do these things just happen in the past? And second is to observe things that we think are already institutionalized in law, things that have been fought for a long time and are believed to be settled in law, in manuals, in practice to a certain extent. We are faced with situations where these things are quickly being retreated because of institutional regression. We heard just now from Alison. We see such examples in many countries around the world where there's a change of political or religious leadership and the rights that women have always had are suddenly threatened. And this is not just a backlash, but this is a structural regression. And I will share with you what I experienced recently. In the recent few years, Korea's Criminal Procedure Act was revised. And now the police can close a case without the supervision or review of prosecutor's office. So now the police is in charge of investigation. Now they have more burden and they have more authority. Then the more authority they have, the system to control investigation should function better. But that system has weakened due to the sudden revision of the law. So what happens on the scene is like this. A woman reports that she was sexually harassed at work. The police close the case with no charges and tell her, if this gets out, it's going to hurt your reputation at work and it's going to be embarrassing for you. So I'm going to be considerate and just leave it at that. And I was really frustrated because we already know that an investigation authority should not be closing a case like this. It's in a violation and breach of law. Saying like this to a a victim of sexual harassment, but this bad practice has come back. And we have been far more advanced than this. We have been talking about how to do humanitarian investigation and how to better support victims without prejudice. But the system that controls investigation didn't work well, and suddenly, all of a sudden, it retreated and regressed, and we couldn't be complacent. We cannot just think that there is a law and it's okay, and there is a manual, it's okay. The same applies to raising a kid. And Korea, which has the world's fastest declining population, has recently enacted a number of laws and policies to address this ultra-low birth rate. And it encourages paternal leave, free childcare, and provides a lot of subsidies. And when I was about 7 months pregnant with my third child, I went to the police station to give a victim statement with a woman with intellectual disabilities who was pregnant from a sexual assault and 1 month away from giving birth. We walked into the police station as victim and lawyer. But rather than the case itself, I was really concerned about the baby who was going to be born from her. And I am also a social welfare activist. It was really difficult to find a way for this disabled woman to raise a child alone. And I made a phone call more than 100 times, but I got refusal from a single mother facility because this woman was divorced before, and was refused from the disabled facility because they didn't accept both mother and child. And an adoption agency also refused her because there was a possibility that this baby would be born disabled. So this woman gave up on raising her baby, and I found a nursery. And I registered a newborn's birth, and when I was moving to the facility, I thought all kinds of birth support measures are just a pipe dream for those in the most vulnerable situations. So lastly, I want to talk about newly created discriminations. So I now see as an attorney for 15 years that these new technologies such as AI, blockchain, and augmented reality sound like we are moving to the front, but they actually result in a lot of different sexual violence. And these violence actually are created based on online. And these new types of oppression and discrimination start from online, but they actually result in offline violation. And what's really frustrating is the society actually easily blames women. You didn't look it up properly. You installed this program. You created the account. You sent a picture. It's your fault. You heard about this a lot, right? Why did you dress like this? Why did you go there at that time? So, you don't look into the society doesn't look into this cycle of repeated crime or damage, but it's too convenient and easy to blame victims. So a perpetrator who had access to a young woman with a disability online won her favor, isolated her emotionally, and exploited her. But her father complains that he has raised his child wrongly. And I tell him the same thing over and over again. It's not your daughter's fault. And before people acknowledge that there is this structural discrimination using a new tool, the online, I need to repeat the same thing over and over again. Some people think if the society has a better awareness, then we will have better gender equality. But I don't believe in that. Because 100 people who had better awareness passed away yesterday, and today, 100 people who don't have any awareness were newly born. So awareness doesn't change naturally. And discrimination and oppression are not naturally overcome or abolished. So I tell my 3 kids about what I have observed, and I tell them, this is strange. And I tell them about the reality, the gender pay gap of 20%, and why only women represent less than 30% of boardroom or parliamentarian. So the inequality we believe that we already overcome, or discrimination we believe that was abolished, are still remaining in our lives. They come back as uninvited guests, and they sometimes evolve in a new form. And the key to bring about peace is keep asking, is it our best? Why should we do that? The reason why I'm doing this work is because I want to ask that question in my career. I think you are also asking that question where you are. And I want to introduce you a Korean proverb. There is a proverb that says, hitting a rock with an egg. It means something that seems impossible, reckless, and no-win. Although you throw eggs on the rock doesn't move, and only eggs break. But you know what? These days, rocks do not like to get dirty with eggs. Rocks that are dirty with eggs, people look at it and ask what happened, and they get uploaded on social media in real time. So it's a hassle for a rock. So although rocks don't break, if you continue to throw eggs, then rocks may make a different choice than the past. So if you continue to observe and ask questions, then we get a courage to throw an egg to the rock. Could you please raise your one hand? Are you ready to throw an egg? Thank you.